Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we have some tips for international management in Football Manager where hopefully you can be successful with some of these ideas. So let's go. All right, so we are managing England right now. I've managed the Georgian national team recently as well, so it's kind of like one of the bottom teams compared to one of the top teams in the world, just going back and forth. So I have a little bit of experience in this version of Football Manager with international management, as well as many other previous versions where I've managed national teams as well. So let's dive in. I think when you first start out managing a national team, you want to see who's already in the squad, because usually you'll end up with a squad that's already assembled when you take the job for the most part. So you want to kind of assess who's injured, who's in form, what kind of formation you want to play, the quality, it's more current ability that you care about rather than potential, of course, in international management. And also I like to pay attention to current form and any key attributes or key roles that I want to have in the squad at the time. Looking at the tactics, you want to kind of define a key tactic that you want to play most of the time. I like to have a few options. Depending on the quality of the side that you're managing, maybe you want to have a plan for when you're the favorite to win, or a plan for when you're the favorite to lose, or if there's going to be kind of a possession battle, or maybe you're not going to possess the ball as much against an opposition. Maybe you will in certain games. So you kind of want to formulate in your mind several tactics that you can play and switch back and forth and try to mold your team around those key positions in those tactics as well. So for England, I have kind of a more positive tactic, 4-2 or 4-3-3, basically with a holding midfielder in the formation. This is what I kind of like to play most of the time with England when we're the favorites. And I've also got a secondary tactic with 3 at the back, and I'm debating how to set this up. You could have the 2 wing backs here, or depending on the personnel we have in the team, you can flip things around, right? So I kind of have him out of position here because of the switch-in tactic, but you could have these 3 up front, Kane, Rashford, and Sterling. They all could play forward. And Alexander-Arnold really is the question mark in this midfield 4 for me. He usually plays more of a wing-back role, but maybe he can play as a winger here or a wide midfielder just a little bit further forward, and then we should have really 3 center backs in a back 3. It could be Kyle Walker, it could be Eric Dyer here, but there's many options in the English side. That they have a lot of depth in England for sure, but depending on who you've got at your disposal, I would mold the tactics around your best players you can. Put people in positions that they're going to succeed in most of the time as well. Don't play one of your better players in an unnatural position if you can avoid it, I would say. So looking at the depth of the national team, you want to focus on the national pool here on the left-hand side. And you can add players to this through your scouting. So you'll have scouts that are assigned to you in the staff area, and they will give you reports usually weekly or so. And you can add players to your national pool through the scouting reports, or you can search for them yourselves. But I like to search by what we've got in the squads here to start off. And then you can also see your under-21 team, your under-20 team if you've got that, the under-19s, and so on and so on. And a lot of players that are outside the squad looking in at the moment. But you can keep an eye on people, prospects that are coming through, fringe players that could fill in gaps for injuries as well. I like to keep the ability column here, the star ratings. It's a good starting point to filter, at least. Maybe it's not the be-all, end-all stat for all your players, but it's a good starting point to sort out your national pool and see who's available to you. There's lots of options, especially managing in England. There are tons of players that you could potentially call up to the team and swap out if you need be. Another thing I like to keep an eye on is the form. I think, especially going into tournaments, You want in-form players in your squad, especially in key positions. I mean, there's going to be some players that are superstars that may be slumping. You need a backup for those players that will be unformed that can come in and do the job if those stars don't quite perform to the level you need them to in the big moments. So that's something to keep an eye on. Also, you've got a few development teams in here too. There's a B team, which isn't really used too often, I don't think, in most nations. And then you got your under 21s, which is pretty common, and then under 20s and under 19s. I think most countries will probably have this. I haven't checked too many of them, so don't hold me to that, but I think at least the under 21s are going to be there most of the time. So you can keep an eye on some key players in your under 21s that you want to keep an eye on, right? Mason Greenwood being one here who would have made the Euro squad in Euro 2020 for England, but he got injured. But he's in the under 21 squad in Football Manager when we start at the beginning of the save here. So, yeah, there's lots of ways to keep track of players. I like to go watch matches, especially if you're only playing as the national team. You're not playing as a club team. You got plenty of time to watch matches. So go around, watch the under 21s, watch the club teams play against each other, especially when you've got multiple players on both sides playing against each other in one game. You can put it on extended highlights or watch a full match just to get the full experience and see how they interact in certain roles and certain tactics at their clubs. See, in the scouting, too, for the national team, you do have people out there scouting different competitions for you, including the coaches, which is most of what you've got here. When you're playing as England, for instance. But you can change them to scout different competitions if you want. I've got a few going on here. Yeah, so that's good to keep an eye on as well, where your coaches are scouting. It'll probably be coaches most of the time. I don't think scouts are a thing in international management, really. And also, like, training isn't really a thing. And as you can see here, there's no training tab for the national team. So you can't really do training schedules or anything like that throughout the season. So it's not really something you need to worry about. You get a good idea also from your team report here. Your coaches will give you an assessment. Your assistant will give it to you based on who they think fits best in the formation that you're currently set in your tactics screen. So that'll give you a good barometer to start off with if you're not familiar with the nation very much as you take over. And obviously keep an eye on your board confidence. I just started. I'm at a C+ with England, which is not great. See if we can improve this. And I think we start off with the Nations League. So we're going to try and win some matches there. And again, in the competitions, you're playing the long game, right? So we're aiming at the European Championship coming up next summer. And also the Nations League, which is currently in progress right now. And we're going to try and get through the group. But we've already lost our first game against Belgium. So that's a tough group. Belgium and Denmark in this. We did smash Iceland the first time we played them. And I'll show you that in a second. Iceland in a 7-1 demolition, which was really good for us. But I switched up the formation a little bit. So I'm kind of tinkering with the tactic a bit. The first game we played against Belgium, same tactic but different roles, which we switched when we played Iceland in the following game. And we also rotated quite a bit. But yeah, try things out. It might take you a few games to get going and get some familiarity in the team. The other thing is continuity in the national stage is difficult as well because players may get injured. They don't play together that often, especially if they're all at different clubs. So you try to get some continuity as best you can. It is difficult in international management, but tinker with the tactic a little bit until you find something you like. I switched around. Let me get this back to normal. Yeah, so I kind of flipped it around to this, which was previously I had 2 inside forwards on attack. I switched it to an attacking wingback and a support role here, and I had a Carolero in Jordan Henderson in the middle here, and I switched it to Jack Grealish as an advanced playmaker, which worked really well against Iceland. So hopefully we can keep that going for the next little while. So we'll try that again. So as you see going in throughout the season, you'll get a list of players that are playing at any given weekend or match day throughout the season. Then you can see who you can go watch potentially. Tottenham playing here with a few of my first team players. Also, you just keep an eye on like anyone who's in the national team, but also look out for the under-21 players that are getting some matches in. Villa playing here in the Carabao Cup. So you could just go and attend any one of these games if you want. You just choose which one. You go to attend. So, and of course, after each week, you'll get a compiled list of match reports. So you can keep an eye on your players this way as well if you just want a statistical breakdown of how everyone did from your first team. Also, scouting here. This is a scouting report from the assistant manager. So keeping an eye on players from your national pool and outside your national pool, I think that they're just giving you recommendations for. So you can continue to scout them or do whatever you want with these reports. And you'll get your regular scouting meetings too. So they'll come in like, I think it's bi-weekly or maybe weekly that these come in. Even though there's a little bit less action managing a national team, it is nice to kind of focus in on your players rather than being distracted by managing a club team at the same time. A lot of people try to do both, and it becomes a little bit either overwhelming or you're not paying much attention to the national team as much as you should. So it's kind of refreshing for me in this save, just managing England and doing nothing else at the moment. So you can really hone in on some of the players and who's really in form and can be called up, right? So there is an interesting match coming up here. There's a couple, actually. There's Chelsea against Southampton in the Carabao Cup, which features quite a few of my players, and then also Leicester City versus Tottenham Hotspur with a few players in there as well. So I think I'm going to attend one of these matches. All right, we're going to check out this game and see how our boys do. I'm just looking for anybody who's got a decent performance in this. We've got James Maddison. We've got Jamie Vardy, who has retired, but we could still keep an eye on him. Spurs and Leicester here. So Harvey Barnes, that's another player that could be available to us here on the right-hand side. Yeah. So just seeing how well they perform in this game and what positions they're best in, right? Also got Harry Kane and Harry Winks starting in this for Spurs as well. So that's another two to keep an eye on. I think Dele Alli's on the bench. So I've been using Harry Kane as like a deep lying forward in the last game against Iceland. He did much better than kind of a complete forward that I had him on against Belgium. So it seems like that's going to be a better position for him in the England side as well, as we just see Spurs score a goal. And Harry Kane not being involved, so other than a decoy, maybe. There he is in the middle, just lurking around the area. He's a kind of a distraction, though, which is good. I forgot Joe Hart played for Spurs as well. Ooh, a nice free kick from Harry Winks there, too. So that's another thing. Keep an eye on the set-piece takers on some of these. I've seen Maddison take corners and now Harry Winks on the free kicks. Leicester goal there. Maddison setting it up for Ayoze. So Maddison on the left-hand side got an assist on that goal here. So Castagna crosses it in from the right. Headed on by Vardy. Maddison tried a shot, but it went straight to Ayoze after the block. So threatening on the left-hand side for James Maddison. And he's on the free kick here, too. But that was kind of a deep free kick. I'm not sure if he's the primary free kick taker for Leicester. He could be. Definitely a dangerous player. Someone we can keep an eye on for sure. I don't believe he's in the squad right now. And Maddison just scores a goal for himself there. It was a nice volley. And he's having a good game in this one. Carabao Cup for Leicester against Spurs. See, it bobbles out to Castagna, who gets a nice cross in again, but that's straight to Maddison on the volley. Beauty. 2-1 Leicester. Ooh, a beautiful goal from Harvey Barnes, too. So two of my guys getting in on the scoring here. He just hammered that into the corner off the throw-in. He threw it in, and he scores a goal himself. Ayoze on the ball here. Gets it over to Castagna, who gets another assist. Look at that shot from Harvey Barnes. Beautiful goal. 3-1 Leicester. Harry Kane been pretty anonymous in this game, but he's just sprayed a nice pass into Son, who just barely misses there. But a good play from Kane to release Son. That's kind of what he needs to do, is just receive the ball deeper and let the wingers break through and give him nice passes into attacking areas. So that's what you want Harry Kane to do from those positions. There's Dyer as well. Ooh, he nearly scores. Good shot from Eric Dyer there. Another player I need to keep an eye on. I think he's just in off the bench. But here's Kane on the run. A long pass to Moore. Look at the passing range. Amazing. It was Leicester get a red card for that tackle. So a free kick here. Kane is not on the free kick. Could have been a Kane free kick, that one. Lo Celso. Not good enough. So that was a pretty entertaining game. Sometimes they're boring to watch. Sometimes they're not. But that one I had on extended highlights, and I saw quite a bit of Madison and Harvey Barnes for Leicester, and a little bit of Harry Kane and Eric Dyer. But if you really want to dig more into their positioning and how well they're receiving passes and distributing the ball and what have you, tackling, that sort of thing, I would say check out comprehensive highlights or full match highlights if you have time to do so. Then you can get a better analysis of the players. But even in this with extended, it was pretty good. It was a pretty entertaining game. So, all right, so we got some squad announcements coming up. It looks like the next game is in the beginning of October. It's October the 11th, Sunday against Denmark away, which could be a tricky match. But I think we should be the favorites in that one still. Sterling is getting fitter. Walker's getting fitter as well. Everyone else is fairly healthy from the last squad. So I would say I'm keeping an eye on James Madison. Harvey Barnes did well in the last game. I don't know if I'll switch up too much, but we'll see when we get closer to the squad announcement time. So one thing that's different between the domestic roundup and the players in action reports that you get in your inbox, domestic roundup gives you the ratings for your players that are currently in your squad that you already have called up. And those players will not appear in this list. So if you want to watch the players that are in your squad, unless they mix in with other players in the national pool, they won't show up on this list to attend the games. But you can still go to, the Premier League or whatever competition you want and just go to attend these matches like so, right? To go and watch them. So there's always that option. This report just gives you some of your national pool players that you might want to highlight. Look at these performances here. Bukayo Saka, 8.6. Declan Rice on an 8. Marcus Rashford on an 8. Nick Pope on a 7.8. So some good performances over the week from some of your squad players here. Another notable performance in the Premier League from Harry Kane here on an 8.6 in this one, an assist and a goal in a 2-2 draw with Leeds. So Raheem Sterling is back, so he should be able to feature, I think. Danny Ings and Oxlade-Chamberlain are still injured. Lallana is coming back, but he might not make the team anyways. So then you get your suggested potential squad. So if you're stuck and you don't know who to pick, your assistant manager is going to suggest the entire squad for you. And you can use the suggested squad if you want, but you don't have to. It's just a suggestion, right? So that's an option if you need it. So this domestic roundup screen is pretty important to keep an eye on. Don't skip over it too much. Just keep an eye on who's playing well. And you can see clearly with their average ratings how well they did in the previous match. But I like to keep an eye on all the players this way. Some competition suggestions to scout. Definitely going to scout the FA Cup in England from anyone in the national pool. The other one to scout is the Under-23 International Cup, but I'm not sure if we need to do that one. All right, so we're ready to pick our squad. Let's go check it out. So first of all, I want to see who's in form and who's not in form in the last 5 games or so. And it's still early in the season. It's October. So you got to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but you could see who can potentially come in and out of the squad this way. So I'm looking at Kyle Walker, Ross Barkley, Nick Pope. Haven't really played for their clubs yet, I don't believe. Nick Pope here, you can see he's only played 1 cup game and 3 league games for Burnley. Well, I mean, that's all that they've played. So he is a regular starter for Burnley, so that's something to note. The other thing, actually, to pay attention to, which I didn't realize at first, is in this view, the last 5 games, that is in relation to England, I believe. So you're going to have to do a little bit more digging to see what their club form is like You can't just sort from this screen, I don't think, unless I can switch this column to form with their club. Can I do it? Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I don't think it's an option, but that would be handy in future versions, maybe, Football Manager, if you can choose last 5 games for club or country. That would be good. As always, you've got your quick picks, like your auto picking suggestions here, where they can pick, the AI can pick your best 11, unpick positions only, pick entire team, quick pick. So that's for someone who's in a rush, doesn't want to go through all this. It'll do it for you. There are handy buttons in there for you. You can also do it for like a rotated side too. Slight rotation, more rotation, full rotation. These are all options. Youth prospects, but those are more useful for your club, probably playing friendlies, preseason, stuff like that, or cup matches. If you don't want to go through and fine tune every little bit and just get through your season, those are more for speed of play, I would say. Okay, so maybe I just found something here. So in this players drop down, there's a club selection. And that seemed to change the view entirely. So I had my custom view previously, which is right here. You can save, you can build a view, customize it to what you like. So I have that saved for me. But if I went into this drop-down menu, the first selection screen here, there's a club selection. And that, I think, has changed the last 5 games form to their club form. So that's something to note. So you can sort by form. So we're looking at the bottom here. Jordan Pickford, Joe Gomez, Ross Barkley, Jadon Sancho, Jordan Henderson, Kyle Walker, Mason Mount. They're all not on fantastic form, especially Jordan Pickford, which is our starting keeper. Not great, really. Should we be giving someone else a chance? Maybe we should, but let's have a look deeper. Another thing to go into the player screen here. If you click on the form box, you can go to their overall form here. It as an English manager, this will default to the national team, but you can change this drop down to go to their club form as well, or you can do everything put together. So that'll give you a nice breakdown of their overall form. So 6 goals conceded in 3 games for Pickford, 6.33 average rating overall for club. Not fantastic to start off the season. So he might be a question mark in the squad. Also, Joe Gomez is not really setting the world on fire. He did play well in the first game of the season. The last few, been a little bit indifferent. Not too bad, but he's also not always getting into the squad here. That looks like a cup match against Coventry City, but maybe we can have a look at the national pool, see who can fill the gaps. And again, you want to filter by club selection here in the national pool to get their last 5 games form for their club. So for me, right off the bat, Phil Foden is a candidate to come up. He's in the under 21s right now. Chris Smalling as well, playing well for Roma, still eligible for England. So we might want to call him up. He's only played 2 matches, though, but he's got a 7.95 average rating. James Ward-Prowse, another interesting prospect. We only won league match, though, but did well in that one. Wow, 37-year-old Ben Foster lighting the world on fire in the championship with Watford. And, I would just go through this list and see if there's anyone who really stands out who deserves a call-up. Like to do that. I like to give the youth players a chance if they're really breaking through, and give everyone a chance to play for their national team, because I feel it feels good to give people caps. I don't know what it is, but that's the rewarding part of managing the national teams, I think. Look at this. Wan-Bissaka, 7.4 in 3 matches in the Premier League for Manchester United. That's a good candidate for a call-up, I think. And I'm kind of comparing Wan-Bissaka with who we've got. Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is our main right backs at the moment. So if you want to just call them up, you just right-click on them and go to call up to the national team squad and confirm, and that's it. I mean, you have to clear a place first. I cleared Joe Gomez, so he is just removed from the national team there. You can also remove them from the national pool if you want to as well. That's another good way to filter is just by position. If you sort it by position here, you can kind of group together who is currently called up, who's around in that position that you could potentially call up, and then just dig into the player profiles to see who's really playing well and who's not. Right, so I've selected my squad. I made quite a few changes, just trying to shake it up a bit, give some new people a chance. So this is what I'm going with. As you can see, all the players in here. I'm not going to list them all out. So we'll confirm the squad, and everyone is going to get upset the next day in the media. So let's find out. See, I told you. John Stones was dropped. Joe Gomez was dropped. Jadon Sancho was dropped. And it's just because they weren't quite on the best form. But then I'll go talk to them, and I'll see if I can talk them off the ledge a little bit. But this is what you got to deal with, especially when you're in like a high-profile position like the England manager. Everyone's going to get upset if you drop anybody. So, yeah, just got to deal with it one by one. Now, we've got the Denmark game coming up on the Sunday of this week, so I'm going to start to set up the tactic. And we're playing away, but I think, I don't know, Denmark is a tough team. I'm not sure if I should go with the 3 at the back or just the 4-3-3 formation. I wonder if they're going to play a 4-4-2, Denmark. They could be. So we'll have a look at them and see if we can see what their formation is like. Right, so this is the predicted formation for Denmark, a 4-2-3-1. So I think I'm okay with the 4-3-3. And we might have to start off on more of a balanced mentality to see how the game goes, because they are a pretty good team, Denmark. So, and we want to come away with a victory. It could be a close one. So let's see how it goes. So when your international duty begins, you start off with a team meeting. These can go one of two ways, of course, but and it's tough to talk to these players when they're such high-profile players too. But do your best with these. Sometimes I struggle with them just to get everyone on the same page, but it also depends on how well the form has been for your national team. I remember when I was with Georgia, we were losing like crazy, and it was really difficult with the team meeting, so I just kind of stopped doing them after a while. So you don't have to do these, but it's good sometimes. And you'll see your youth teams just before the match. I usually play at the same time. Get a few match reports from the under-20s, under-21s, and injury reports, anything that happens here. And we got our scout report for the opponent here, too. So keep an eye out for this stuff coming into your inbox. All right, so we're getting ready to set up the tactic here. I've already gone through the lineup, so I'm just going to fine-tune it going into the game. You get weather reports here as you're gearing up for the match, and the pre-match press conference as well, which you'll want to attend. All right, so I've made some fine-tuning to the tactic, and I think we're just about ready to get into the game. Just going to attend the press conference here, and then we will go right into the match. So I did make a lot of changes to this squad, so it's going to be interesting to see if it pays off or not. I feel like there's a lot of good players in depth in the national pool, and I want to try them all out. All right, the teams are warming up, and we are ready to go. Let's go. Let's see if we can get a win here against the Danish. Little team talk. We get a tunnel interview here, and we're just about ready to go. All right, we're at the Parken Stadium in Denmark, and we kick off. Let's see how England perform against Denmark. Not a good start. 45 seconds, and they've already scored against us here. First attack of the game. And the keeper is beaten at his near post after I replaced Jordan Pickford with Fraser Forster. But we've got Nick Pope starting in goal today, so not an ideal start. Nice cross there. Luke Shaw could not get to his man, and Skov scores. 1-0 Denmark. Denmark keeping the ball really well against us in this game, so it could be we went for a more possession tactic to start off this game, And I wonder if we're not going to win this possession battle with being the away team against Denmark, who are a good side. So we might have to switch gears a little bit, but I'm going to keep watching this first half and see how it goes. Well, here's Rashford with a chance. Ooh, close. Schmeichel with the save, but that's the first glimmer of positivity that we've seen so far in the game. Here's a corner from Alexander-Arnold, and that is cleared. Actually, the possession is not too bad. We're winning 53% of it right now, but they've had a couple better chances than we have in front of goal, and that was another one off a corner for Denmark. Eriksson on the corner. See, the highlights have been mostly in favor of Denmark, so it gives me the impression that possession is more, but it doesn't look like it by the stats here. Not so many good performances, though, at the moment, and a poor first half. So we may need to change things a little bit. Yeah, are we not getting enough balls into dangerous areas? And it could be that we're just being too cautious with it. As I went a little bit shorter with the passing and a lower tempo, and the transition too, we're holding shape, so we might want to counter right away. And in possession, let's just speed the tempo up. Let's go really high. Don't mind the shorter passing. I don't know if we need to play for set pieces either. So I was trying that. I was thinking we might get an advantage in that way, but I kind of want to see better quality chances created. But we're not quite on top of the game, so I'm going to stay unbalanced. Don't need to go cautious, I don't think. Let's try that for the second half. And we're going to kind of give them a bit of a rollicking in the dressing room, so let's see how this goes. Oh, and that's a penalty. We just won a penalty there, Marcus Rashford. So Harry Kane's going to step up, and hopefully he can convert and get us back into this. Just after halftime here, and he does. So it's 1-1. Good start to the second half. Positive in the first few minutes, and that's what I want to see. Now there's some good play here as well. Ball out wide to Trent Alexander-Arnold into the area. He's going to shoot, and he nearly scores. Good play from Trent. Intercepted goal kick from Sterling, too. What can Sterling do? Cross is blocked. Trent Alexander tries again. Cleared. And Skov on the counter here for Denmark. Dahlberg is through now. Oh, just wide of the goal. Dangerous counterattack there from Denmark, so we got to be careful. Good passing from Denmark to go through the midfield there. A lot of one-touch passing going through, so that's interesting to see from them. But we're controlling it fairly well. Oh, Denmark get it back on the clearance there, though. And Skov breaking into the area for Denmark. They're threatening here. No coverage on the right. Just over. Dangerous stuff. I don't know if it was Skov or Stiger Larson on the right-hand side. They're wide open. That might be something to look at. Let's go have a look at Stiger Larson. I think we need to close him down always and show him onto his weaker foot, too. He's getting some good crosses in. Does Denmark have a corner here? Eriksson is on the corner. It's crossed in, and it's a goal from Andreas Christensen. Wins the header. It's 2-1 Denmark, so not good to start off. Well, we're not really starting off, but not good at the moment. And we might need to make some substitutions here. Luckily, we've got a lot of quality on the bench. Marcus Rashford hasn't had a great game. I'm thinking about bringing on Grealish again for Phil Foden. He had a good game against Iceland, Grealish. I also want to give Kyle Walker his 50th cap because he might not get called up again. So I'm going to give him his 50th cap for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And who else? Rashford is probably the worst performer. So I'm thinking about doing all three changes. The options are James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, or Mason Mount in that position. And to me, I'm going to go with James Madison. Oh no, another one. Straight through from Denmark. Threatening again. We just can't seem to hold on to the ball or get anything going in this game. Here comes Grealish. Some sort of chance. He's going to shoot from a bit of a distance, and Schmeichel covers it. But I don't know if we're going to get anything out of this game. We can keep pushing. We might push some more players forward as Walker wins it back into Sterling now. Kane just outside the area. Walker. Kane with the cross. There it is to Jordan Henderson. He should have scored just over the bar. It's not the person you want in that position probably, but damn. Walker again, 86 minutes into Kane. Sterling, and it's saved. What can we do? Kane is struggling for fitness. Do we have any more subs? We do have some more subs, it looks like. Who can start up front? Harvey Barnes, maybe? Yeah, we don't have a lot of like out-and-out strikers in the squad. Maybe I'll bring on Harvey Barnes for Kane. Just struggling for fitness a little bit, Harry Kane. And we're going to go attacking. We're going to push up the defensive line even more just to go for it a little bit, try and equalize. So we've got the Leicester connection, Harvey Barnes and James Madison on the pitch now for England. And we saw them in that game in the Carabao Cup that we watched earlier. So maybe we can get a little bit of magic, but there's not a lot of time left. And I'm still kind of figuring out the squad here. So 3 games in. Not a great result, though, away from home against Denmark, if we do lose this one, as Pope collects a trickling shot there. We need something here. Come on. Shaw down the left-hand side. Into James Madison. Into the box. Crosses into Sterling. Henderson is there. Bobbles around, and it's cleared. There's still 4 minutes to go, but we might run out of time. Last kick of the game. Jack Grealish on the corner. Whips it across. Headed away by Striger. Keane's going to collect that. Does he have time to whip it back in? Grealish. Dribbling through the middle. Jordan Henderson. Back to Rice. I don't know if it's going to happen today. Madison dribbles out of play. That should be a disappointing result, I would say. But, unlucky. I mean, I made a lot of changes. A lot of experimental stuff in that game. So maybe you don't want to go as crazy as I did selecting the team. Like 7 changes since beating Iceland 7-1. But I like the idea of following the form a little bit. And we've got a lot of players at your disposal. So, and it's the Nations League right now. It's kind of like friendlies, but competitive friendlies. And it's not a super important competition, so it's kind of a time for experimentation in your international game. So try out your players, even if you lose. I think it's worth it. Another game against Iceland coming up, but I will save you that. So that was it. My tips for international management. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel for more Football Manager content. And I will see you next time. Peace.